I'm going to diverge from the content that I usually make today, and we're going to talk about a TikToker who made a video recently that made quite a few waves. They uploaded a video talking about a pretty well talked about controversial topic about tattoos in the workplace. In the video, she explains how she handed TJ Maxx a job application that they unfortunately denied. TJ Maxx, to my knowledge, they hire people that usually reflect their morals and their values to their company. As most companies do, understandably, when you have a large clientele, you want to appeal to the most of them. In the video, they explain how the reason they were given for the denial of their job application was super vague and how they suspected it to be because of their tattoos.
So I wanted to come on here and talk about something that is really starting to annoy me. So I applied for a job at TJ Maxx a few weeks ago, and they denied my application. They couldn't even call me. They just sent me some automated email. So I went in today and I was like, so what was the reason I didn't get hired? And she was like, oh, like, you just, like, don't have enough experience. There was candidates that had, like, more experience than you. And, you know, I asked her if it was about my tattoos, obviously, because I know a lot of places don't like tattoos. She said that wasn't the reason. I don't feel like that's true, but whatever, I'll leave it at that. So I'm just wondering how, like, teenagers and young adults who haven't had a job before, how are they supposed to get employed if these places are only hiring people with experience? So younger people just can't get a job because they haven't worked enough? So, like, they'll deny a 16-year-old a job because they don't have enough work experience? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
So first off, I completely understand her argument about needing too much experience when applying for a job application. Yeah, it is impossible to just get on the workforce and magically have 5 or 10 years of experience. But let me tell you a secret. I'm going to spill the beans and slap you with a bunch of logic here. Yes, some jobs require you to have experience in their field. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because Ash here never specifies what kind of other jobs she's been applying for. And back when I was all boots on the ground looking for the highest paying job that I could find, I marched to an entirely different drum, and surprise, surprise, I found different results. I worked many intermediate, not starter level jobs, but even intermediate, and I worked a lot of starting level jobs too. But I was always sending out applications no matter what. Even if I had a good job, if a better job, was there for me, why not? I mean, I've always lived by the excuse that, yeah, a job's important to have, but if you die, they'll fill your position before going to your funeral. So it's always good to upgrade jobs, but you gotta be ready to have denial and just roll with the punches is what you gotta do when you're looking for a good job. I mean, there was many jobs that I got denied because of my looks. I mean, when I was young, I kind of looked like a stoner. Obviously. And, I could see that a job that, hire somebody to, let's say, work on tractors, they're going to want to hire someone with the least likelihood of screwing up and making an accidental mistake that ends the life of another coworker. Even some of these entry-level jobs require you to use a forklift. And if you don't have experience using a forklift, then you can really freaking hurt somebody. So 10 years, 5 years experience, kind of necessary in some positions. I wanted to bring this up because I really do think that the younger generation is starting to ignore the facts and getting so wrapped up in changing how society works. When they don't immediately get their way exactly how they want it, they turn to blaming society, saying it's society's fault for some reason. The main subject of this video is about tattoos, and I want to be the first to say right now that I'm not tattoo shaming here. I freaking love tattoos. I think tattoos are arguably one of the most passionate ways you can express your opinion. Tattoos are a right for people to have, just like freedom of speech is a right for people to have. And unfortunately for people with tattoos, just like free speech, people are free and within their rights to interpret those tattoos how they see fit, really. I know, that's radical, right? Oh, Trent, are you saying people can judge each other based on the tattoos they have on their body? What? Well, sorry to slam this dusty brick of truth your way, but I think people should have the freedom to think what they want and act accordingly within reason. Like the building blocks of a free country. Yeah, I can already see how people may twist my words in the comments here, so let me clarify everything here. I think when a person goes out and decides to get a tattoo, they're boldly expressing their viewpoint a lot of the time. And right now, we're just kind of highlighting visual facial tattoos that are visible, because if you hide something under your shirt, you might as well not have it when you have a shirt on, so who gives a fuck about that? I'm specifically talking about people who decide to tattoo their arms, hands, face, visible things that you can't really hide, you know? Sometimes it's a flower and sometimes it's a pentagon with Satan in the middle. And, to each their own, I say. I don't care. It's your body and you can express to your heart's content. Like, I plan on getting some tattoos. Like, they're great. But now let me hit you with a shocker. It's their business and they can express their values through their employees just as you express your values through your tattoos. Let's be real. Tattoos aren't something you're born with. They're something you decide to get for whatever reason, all right? And when it comes to religious tattoos, I'm sure they exist, but I've never heard of a bunch of viral situations where an employer is like, no, you can't have your religious tattoo. Even on your hands and on your arms, more and more, I'm starting to see people that have tattoos that are visible everywhere, especially in customer service, because that's where you see them. You're not going to see somebody in their office, but you're going to sit there and say that you decided to get a very expressive and somewhat rebellious tattoo where everyone can see it every time they talk to you. You think that companies should have to change their entire moral code and policy just because you decided that you wanted to get that very expressive tattoo on you? No.
Nope.
I think there's a very important thing to note here before going any further with this, though. There is absolutely nothing wrong with getting tattoos. I feel like I keep saying this in this video, but I feel like some people might misinterpret what I'm trying to say here. Getting tattoos is awesome and becoming way more popular. But when did young people forget that the world is still run by old geezers that were born in the 70s? The entire reason I'm uploading this is because I feel like there's a giant disconnect between young people trying to find success in an older generation dominated workforce and how the new generation feels like they're being stifled because they have to adhere by the rules of other people while they're working for them.
Too bad I'm cooped up here inside the Krusty Krab, just like I always seem to be on a nice sunny day.
You can't just expect an entire generation to change just because we're different. And if you truly want to find success, if it's truly important to you to find success, then you're going to make the sacrifices you need to make, including maybe adhering to the rules of somebody that has different values than you. Now, I do absolutely agree that judging people based on their tattoos and piercings, making it harder for them to get jobs, being judgmental and thinking that they're a bad person because of it, I do think that's a super archaic way of thinking. That's not the case anymore. People who have tattoos and piercings are super hard workers. How else are they going to be able to afford those super expensive tattoos and piercings that cost? Obviously, I don't know, but I mean, my brother has a bunch of tattoos and I'm pretty sure he's like 20 grand in. But at the end of the day, it's becoming more accepted and the world is changing, but we can't accept the older generation to just change. If it's our right to express ourselves, it's their right to put up a brick wall and not want to accept it. That's kind of how a free country kind of works. Free expression. Let me be very vocal. This world is not as accepting as it should be. Nowhere near as accepting as it should be. But I want to be super blunt and ask people in this situation, would you rather make some sacrifices and gain success? Or do you want to die on this hill? Because at the end of the day, all these people that decide to get tattoos in places and stuff, and they're wanting a world that's more accepting. If reality is that you're not living in a world that's that accepting, then you're making the choice to potentially not get some of these raises, some of these jobs, whatever it is, you're potentially accepting to be faced with opposite opinions that are going to try to express that they don't like you by not associating themselves with you. That's life.
And, I hate that my tattoos are such a defining factor for me getting a job or not. Like, just because I have tattoos doesn't mean I'm not gonna be a good worker. Like, I do not understand that at all.
All right, so I just want to clarify. There probably was a person with more experience that got the job over her. That probably wasn't even about her tattoos. I've had a lot of job applications come back denied for the sole fact of not having enough work experience. Even in customer service, where you think that if having no tattoos would be the key to all this, then I would be a perfect candidate to have the most experience. But man, they told me no, dude, there must have been somebody with more experience. Gosh darn. It actually probably had a lot to do with the fact that I looked like a stoner. Had long hair, slouched, looked like this all the time. Seriously, I really looked like a stoner. But it's funny, the moment I decided to cut my hair, stop slouching, and pronounce my words, I started getting accepted with a lot more job applications. What I'm getting at is these jobs that are hiring people, they have a standard that they want to hire people at, just like anything else. If you want a job from somebody else, then this world expects you to adhere by their standards. Let's throw the shoe on the other foot here. Let's say she got the job, but they required her to wear a uniform that said, "I'm a Christian." Well, considering she has Satan on her throat, I'm guessing that she would probably flip the switch and say, "Hey, I'm not okay with expressing this on my body." Go figure, right? It's all just a matter of opinion. It's funny how she really expects the business to try to adhere by her standards when she's going to be the face of the business. Maybe we shouldn't be trying to force businesses to give up their freedom of expression, because after all, when we get a job, we're working on their time. They're paying us to be the face of their company. So don't mean to throw a bunch of shade out here, but I get the vibes that she's the type of person who would start working from home and then come up with every excuse not to go back to work once the threat was gone. Like, just because you like to do something a specific way doesn't mean that a business has to let you do it that way, especially when they're paying you. Don't get me wrong. I really want to see businesses become more inclusive. I really do. I want to see everybody be able to get a job anywhere. But I think that it's absolutely unrealistic to think that you're going to be able to find a bunch of success while simultaneously placing roadblocks in front of you. Like, don't be surprised that you had to hurdle over a wall that you literally place in front of yourself. At the end of the day, freedom of opinion can't be for thee, but not for me. Literally, it can't be things that are for other people, but then we don't put onto ourselves. Just think about it for a second. In a world where one side isn't allowed to like something, that in turn makes a world where both sides aren't allowed to like anything. And let me tell you, if you want a world where nothing is accepted, then take away everybody's freedom of expression, because we will get there in one hell of a hurry. Now, I've remained unbiased this whole time. I love tattoos. I think tattoos don't define who you are as a person. But I also think businesses should have a right to hire people that embody who they are as a company. But if I ran a business, I would want my values respected, and I wouldn't want the things that I don't like to be expressed in my store. But if I had a company, I would allow tattoos. I have no problem with it. But can't you argue that me and my right to allow tattoos and potentially offend some of the customers that come in my store is just as valid as an older company and an older manager's right to not allow those things, Isn't that the exact same right, just dressed in different clothing? It sounds to me like your morals don't line up with that business's morals, and it's just time for you to move on to the next opportunity. Isn't that how it should have always worked and how it has always worked in the past anyway? People without tattoos, this still happens, and we have to just go about our day and not go on social media and blame things, because we know it's not other things to blame.
I want you guys to talk about in the comments what it's been like for you finding a job recently, like if it's been easy or if it's been difficult, and I want to know like what kind of experience you guys have, because I want to see if I'm the only person that's like experiencing this right now or not.
Okay, so let's look on her comments here and just see how hard it is for her commenters to find some new jobs. Oh, you scare the kids. I have actually seen kids a little bit scared of tattoos, so I mean, it's a little mean, but it's valid. I have 666 on my neck and have facial tattoos. I never apply customer-facing positions because although I know it's self-expression, I know I won't always sit well with everyone. And that's the whole point is I'm going to be done reading those. If you're completely humble and you know what the deal is going into getting a tattoo, then all the power to you. You understand. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from working hard and making videos like me, or, there's so many job opportunities for a person that's completely tattooed. Especially nowadays, it doesn't really stifle your career unless you want to go get a super, minimum wage job. Okay, so let me break it down for you then. So you decide to go grab tattoos and you get them posted on spots that are very visible. And then you expect a company to hire you and not care and not worry. A company that has a bunch of old customers to not care and basically accept you as the face of their company? Really? So now you're complaining that you're being defined by your tattoos when I would like to put money on the fact that you probably define yourself by your tattoos. Like if you're on the phone with a friend and they're trying to find you in public and you're describing yourself, you'd be like, oh, I'm the tall person, I'm skinny, I'm white, and I got a fucking ton of tattoos on my body and I'm completely obvious when you see me. So then why is a company all of a sudden not allowed to view you the way that you obviously want to be viewed by the rest of public in general. Look, I'm not going to break down her entire video because frankly, the rest of her video, and then she also posted a follow-up video to this, which you guys can go check out if you want. And the rest of these videos are just her parroting and repeating the fact that she doesn't understand how people need all of this work experience and all of this, but kind of just seems like she's trying to start waves. I guess this is just a PSA to all the young people who are entering the job market right now. Whether you like it or not, people have a right to dislike the things that you like. And so keep that in mind when you potentially go in and hand a job application for a job that requires you to be the face of a company. I don't expect everyone to agree with me here, but simply I just don't think it's correct to expect a huge company to have to bend their moral code based on what somebody else likes. They're the ones paying you. Simple as that. Anyways, that's really all I wanted to say about this. If you liked it, I would love a subscription. It would really help me make more of these videos. Anyways, I hope you fall into a bag of cash. Have a great day.